Hurry, find her! It seems like it wants to show the way. It is protecting her.
You know those winter mornings when the world feels half asleep? Yeah, this wasn't one of them. It was barely 7:10 a.m. at Mercy General Hospital in Denver. The kind of cold that makes your breath look like smoke. People shuffled through the lobby like ghosts. Coffee in hand, scarves half-wrapped, voices low and tired. A nurse laughed at something on her phone. A security guard yawned so wide his jaw cracked. Someone dropped a pen and didn't even bother to pick it up. Just a normal day. And then the doors opened, and everything normal just died. The automatic doors slid apart with a soft whoosh. Nobody looked up at first. Not a single head turned. Until someone gasped. Not a small gasp. The kind that freezes your blood. A clipboard hit the floor. Then a coffee cup. Then someone whispered, "Oh my God, is that?" Because framed in the icy morning light stood a dog. A massive German shepherd. Mud caked on his legs. Blood splattered across his coat. Breathing ragged, like he'd run through hell and back. And draped over his back, a child. A tiny girl, 7, maybe 8. Arms dangling, head limp, hair stuck to her cheek with dried blood. One shoe missing, her bare foot turning blue from the cold. The whole lobby froze. Doctors, nurses, patients, everyone. Someone whispered, "No, no way, that can't be real." But it was. The dog took one step inside, just one, and the room erupted. "What the? Call trauma! Somebody get a gurney! Oh my God, she's bleeding!" The shepherd didn't bark, didn't whine, didn't even look around. His eyes were locked straight ahead, like he had one mission, and one mission only. Get that little girl help. He looked like a soldier dragging the last survivor off a battlefield. A nurse rushed forward. Big mistake. The dog snapped his teeth, a low, warning growl rumbling from deep in his chest. Not angry, not wild. More like, "Don't you dare touch her, unless you're here to save her." Even security hesitated. This wasn't aggression. This was fear. Fear for her, not of them. A man whispered, "He carried her. He actually carried her." The girl, Lily, barely looked alive. Her lips purple, skin pale and waxy. She was fading. And the dog, Ranger, he knew it. He pushed forward, limping, every muscle shaking, legs trembling like they were seconds from giving out. But he kept going, heading straight toward the trauma wing, like he'd memorized the layout. Finally, one nurse stepped forward, slow, hands raised, voice soft. Megan Hartley. She whispered, "Hey, sweetheart, it's okay. We're gonna help her, I promise." Ranger froze, ears twitching, breathing unsteady, caught between trust and fear. Megan tried again, softer. Let me take her. Please. She needs us. The dog stared at her. A long, silent eternity. Then he lowered his head. Just a little. Permission. The lobby exhaled as one. Megan lifted Lily carefully, and Ranger let out one final rumble, a warning filled with love. Be gentle. And then he collapsed. Every alarm sounded. He's hurt too. Get a crash cart. How far did he carry her? 2 lives on the line. The girl who'd been through hell, and the dog who dragged her out of it. Ranger lifted his head one last time, just enough to see Lily safe in Megan's arms. Only then did he let the darkness take him, and the entire hospital stood frozen, knowing whatever happened before this moment was only the beginning. If you thought the lobby froze before, nah. What happened next made everything feel like the entire place was balancing on a freaking thread. Ranger wasn't just standing there anymore. He was coiled, like a spring pulled way, too tight. His muscles trembled, his lips curled just enough to show teeth, and his breathing. God. His breathing sounded like he'd sprinted straight out of a nightmare. And his eyes, man, those eyes were wild. Red, watery, panic burning behind them like a fire out of control. He wasn't looking at the people. Not really. He was looking toward where Lily had been taken, as if saying, "Don't take her from me. Don't you dare." Everyone around him stepped back instinctively. Even the dog lovers. Even the security guard trying to act tough. Their faces said everything. Fear, sympathy, and that, oh crap, something is about to happen feeling. And in the middle of it all stood Megan Hartley, hands half raised, knees bent, like she was ready to either catch a child or dodge a bite. She whispered, "Okay, okay, boy. It's all right." But her voice cracked halfway through, "All right." Ranger growled, low, vibrating, the kind of sound that makes your ribs shake. Not a threatening growl, no. This was the, "I swear on my life, I will protect her" kind. Someone whispered, "Just sedate him." Another hissed, "Are you crazy? He'll attack before you even touch him." Megan's jaw tightened. She didn't even turn when she snapped, "Nobody touches him." Quick, sharp, like a mother hearing someone threaten her child. She breathed in, one of those shaky, "all right, here we go" breaths, and stepped forward. Just one step. Ranger's ears shot up. His shoulders rose like mountains. His claws scraped the tile. Megan froze. Not statue still. More like a "holy crap, don't move" still. She whispered, "It's okay. Hey, hey, Ranger. Ranger." She didn't know his name yet. But he reacted. A flick of his ear. Small, but something. And then the air changed. Like the whole place held its breath. Even the machines seemed to stop. Megan crouched down, slowly. Not all the way. Just enough to seem smaller. safer. Hands open, nothing hidden, nothing sudden, just steady. She murmured, "Listen, I know. You're scared. Me too. But she needs us, okay? She needs us." Ranger didn't blink, not once. His eyes locked on hers, like he was trying to read her soul. Then Megan whispered, "You're not trying to hurt us. You're begging, aren't you? You're begging us to save her." Ranger made a sound. God, it chills me even now. Not a bark, not a growl, not a whine. It was pain. Actual, raw pain. Like a sob trapped in a creature that didn't know how to cry. He took one shaky step toward Megan. Just one. The crowd gasped, loud, too loud, like they forgot this wasn't a movie. Megan lifted her hands higher, showing her empty palms. It's okay, big guy. I'm right here. I'm not gonna hurt you, I swear." Ranger's legs trembled, claws tapping on the floor. His head lowered, his tail dipped, not wagging, just surrendering. And that was it. The moment Megan realized he wasn't being aggressive at all. He was breaking down. He was exhausted, terrified, hanging on by the thinnest emotional thread. She whispered, "You're protecting her. I know." And unbelievably, Ranger's body shifted, a tiny movement, like he was agreeing. Then, from deeper inside the hospital, a shout tore through the silence. "She's crashing! Page Dr. Coleman, now!" Ranger jolted. All the tension snapped back into place. Boom, like lightning. He lunged toward the hallway. Security yelled, "Grab him!" A doctor shouted, "Don't let him run!" Voices piled over each other. But Megan, she stepped in front of him, hands out, a human shield against a desperate animal twice her size. She called out, "Hey, Ranger, look at me!" And somehow, some miracle, he stopped. Chest heaving, eyes wild, body shaking like he was seconds from collapse. Softly now, she whispered, "We're gonna help her. I promise. But I need you to trust me." Ranger blinked. Just once. Slow, painful, but enough. He didn't attack. He didn't bolt. He didn't break. He put his faith, his entire world, into the shaking hands of a nurse who'd met him less than 5 minutes ago. And in that moment, everyone in that lobby understood. This wasn't just a dog. This was a guardian, fighting the universe to save his little girl. And honestly, if you think things were intense already, well, part 3 hits harder. Because this is the moment. Everything turns into pure survival. The second the trauma team got Lily onto a gurney, the monitors lit up like Christmas lights. Only not the fun kind. The terrifying kind. The kind that makes professionals swear under their breath. One nurse shouted, "Her heart rate's dropping, she's crashing!" Another yelled, Move! Trauma 1, now!" It was chaos. Actual chaos. People running, grabbing equipment, shouting orders like rapid fire. And in the middle of that storm was Lily. This tiny girl who looked like she was slipping out of the world. Her hair tangled, skin pale, almost gray. Her wrists marked with deep red grooves, the kind that tell you exactly what she'd been through without anyone saying a single word. A doctor adjusting her arm muttered, "What the hell happened to you, sweetheart?" And while all that was happening, Ranger was fighting his own battle. He wasn't walking behind the gurney. He was dragging himself. One back leg barely working, each step scraping his nails across the tile. That awful stuttering sound that makes you cringe because you know it's pure pain. But he refused, flat out refused, to stop following. A security guard held out an arm. "Whoa, buddy, you can't." Ranger didn't growl, didn't bite, didn't snap. He just pushed through like the man was nothing but a shadow. Determination like that. You don't fight it. Megan shouted, voice cracking, "Don't you dare touch him!" And nobody questioned her. Not anymore. They all saw it. Ranger wasn't dangerous. He was desperate. He limped faster when the gurney turned the corner, like losing sight of Lily was worse than whatever agony burned up his leg. People scrambled out of his way, some stumbling, some flattening themselves against the walls like they were making space for a king or a soldier, maybe both. But when they reached the trauma hallway, everything changed. The air got colder, quieter, tighter, like time itself didn't know how fast to move anymore. They wheeled Lily into Trauma 1. Ranger tried to follow, tried so hard he almost collapsed face first. But Megan caught him, hands on his shoulders. Hey, Ranger, stop, stop!" He didn't want to. You could see it in every muscle. His body leaned toward the door, claws digging into the tile, eyes locked on Lily like the door didn't even exist. But his legs, they just folded. Megan whispered, "God, you're hurt worse than we thought." Ranger let out a sound, small, broken. The sound of someone trying not to fall apart. Megan knelt beside him, one hand petting his neck, the other gripping her own fear. "She's in the best hands," she whispered. "They're fighting for her. You hear me? They're fighting." But Ranger wasn't looking at Megan. His eyes stayed glued to the sliver of the trauma room door. Every time someone shouted inside, "BP dropping! Get the crash cart!" Ranger flinched, ears twitching, chest heaving so fast he looked ready to hyperventilate. Then, a monitor alarm screamed, loud, sharp, deadly. Megan whispered, "No, no, no." Though she wasn't the one holding Lily's life, you could feel how badly she wished she could. A doctor burst out, sweat on his forehead, grabbed supplies, and sprinted back inside. The door swung shut. Ranger whimpered, soft, heartbreaking, like a question he didn't know how to ask. Megan's voice cracked. "I know, baby, I know." And in that fragile moment, you could feel it. This wasn't a dog guarding a random girl. This was family. Loyalty bigger than pain, bigger than fear, bigger than whatever hell they'd crawled out of. Time stretched. Every second felt like a minute. Every alarm felt like a punch to the chest. Ranger's head lowered to the cold floor. But his eyes, he didn't close them. He stared at that door like it was the only thing keeping him alive. And the truth? Maybe it was. Because if she didn't make it, I don't think Ranger would have either now. Just answer honestly. If you were standing there in that hallway, watching this dog crawl after a dying little girl, would your heart break more for Ranger, for Lily, or for both of them together? A. Ranger. B. Lily. Both. The second the doors to the scan room swung shut behind Lily, something inside Ranger just gave out. Like whatever force was holding him upright, vanished. One moment he was stretched forward toward the door, muscles locked like he could will it open through sheer desperation. And then, boom. His body dropped. Not gently, not slowly. Like someone unplugged his soul. His front legs buckled first, sliding out from under him. Then his chest hit the floor. His head followed, bouncing lightly against the tile. A sound that made everyone flinch. Megan gasped, "Ranger!" And she dropped to her knees beside him so fast, her badge flew off and clattered down the hall. His breathing, God, it wasn't breathing. It was choking on air. Sharp, shallow, frantic gasps like his lungs were burning from the inside out. "His heart's racing. Feel this," someone said. But the second their hand touched Ranger's side, they recoiled. "He's burning up. Jesus, he's literally burning." Ranger's chest rose and fell so fast, it didn't even look real. His heartbeat wasn't a rhythm anymore. It was a glitch. A wild, frantic thumping, like his heart was trying to sprint out of his body. His paws twitched. His hind leg jerked, like he was still trying to run. And his eyes, oh God, his eyes, they weren't fierce anymore. Not focused. Just glassy. Darting back and forth, searching for Lily even though she wasn't there. "Easy, baby. Easy," Megan whispered, cupping his jaw like he was a scared child. Her voice cracked halfway through, "Easy." Ranger didn't lift his head. He just pressed his nose weakly against the floor where Lily's gurney had rolled seconds earlier, like he could still smell her, like he was trying not to forget. "There's no way he walked far like this," someone murmured. Another voice, "He shouldn't even be conscious." And then, a third voice, trembling, "There is no way this dog carried a kid through the Colorado mountains in this condition." But he did, and now his body was demanding the price. A tech pushed a small oxygen tank toward them. "We can try, something, anything," but the moment the tank clanged against the floor, Ranger seized. His whole body jolted like he'd been shocked. Hey, Ranger, look at me," Megan begged, bringing her face close to his. Slowly, so painfully slow, he dragged his gaze toward her. His eyelids trembled, his pupils blown wide, fear and exhaustion mixing into something heartbreaking. Megan brushed his ear with her thumb. She's alive. They're helping her. You don't have to fight alone right now. For 1 second, just one, his breaths lengthened, barely, but enough for Megan to whisper, "Good, good boy." But the calm didn't last. A machine inside the scan room beeped, a sharp, alarming sound, and Ranger's head jerked up, or tried to. His neck lifted an inch, shook violently, and crashed back down. He tried again, failed. His claws scraped helplessly across the floor. This wasn't just pain, it was panic. Raw, animal panic at being separated from the one creature he had fought so hard to protect. "Don't move, sweet boy," Megan begged. "You're hurting yourself." But Ranger wasn't listening to pain. He was listening to instinct, to loyalty, to Lily's fading scent behind that door. 2 orderlies rushed down the hall with a stretcher. "We need to lift him," one said. "We can't leave him like this," the other added. But when they stepped closer, Ranger's body tensed. His breath hitched. His lips twitched upward, not to bite, but to warn. Megan raised a hand, sharp, commanding. "Stop. Don't touch him unless I tell you." The orderlies froze. Megan leaned closer to Ranger, her forehead almost touching his. Her voice dropped to a whisper, soft, steady, like a secret she trusted him with. "You kept her safe. You did everything. Now let us keep you safe, okay? Just let us help you." For a moment, his breathing slowed again. Just a moment. His head rolled into her hand. His eyelids fluttered, closing, opening, closing again. "Stay with me," Megan whispered urgently. "No, no sleeping. Ranger, hey, stay awake." His tail twitched, once, a tiny, weak attempt at movement. "Good. That's good. Hang on," Megan breathed, her voice cracking. But the truth settled over the hallway like a weight. This wasn't just exhaustion. This was collapse. This was a body pushed far beyond the edge. And now that Lily wasn't on his back, his purpose wasn't holding him up anymore. A doctor murmured, "If we don't get him fluid soon, he's done. He's too far gone." Megan clenched her jaw. "Then we get him fluids." "Ma'am, he'll let me," she said, fire in her voice, because she wasn't guessing. She knew. Ranger's chest heaved, a violent tremor running through him. His eyes slipped half shut. His breaths turned shallow, broken. Megan grabbed his paw, held it tight, whispered, "Hold on, please, just hold on." And the hallway, the people, the world, felt like it held its breath with him. Because deep down, everyone knew a dog doesn't collapse like that, unless he's already given every last piece of his strength to someone he loves more than himself. Because the moment Ranger's condition stabilized just enough that he wasn't about to crash on the floor, something shifted. He lifted his head, barely, sniffing the air like he'd caught a scent no one else could sense. His ears twitched, his body tensed, shaky, instinct overpowering exhaustion. Megan frowned beside him. "What is it, boy? What do you smell?" Ranger didn't bark, didn't growl, didn't stand. He just pushed forward. One paw, then another, dragging himself across the tile toward the back exit. "Hey! Hey, Ranger! Slow down!" Megan reached for him, but he kept going, determined, limping, shaking so hard it hurt just to watch. A security guard muttered, "What the hell is he doing now?" Dr. Brooks narrowed her eyes. "He's tracking something." "Tracking what?" a nurse asked. Dr. Brooks didn't answer. She just stood, motioned to the guards. "Follow him." Ranger's paws slid across the tile until he reached the door. He pressed his nose against the metal seam, knowing something on the other side mattered. Megan pushed the door open. Cold air slapped them, the kind of cold that feels mean. Behind the hospital lay the employee parking lot, then a drop-off into the outer edge of Roosevelt National Forest. Huge pines, deep brush, a place no one would walk into alone unless they had a death wish. Ranger didn't hesitate. He limped forward like a soldier crawling back onto the battlefield. Megan whispered, "Stay with him. Whatever he's trying to show us, it's important." One guard grabbed a flashlight. Another rested a hand on his holster, expecting trouble. And honestly, he wasn't wrong. They hadn't made it 20 yards before Ranger stopped, nose buried in a pile of leaves. "What is that?" the guard asked. Dr. Brooks crouched, pushed twigs aside, and froze. "Damn it," she whispered. In her hand was a ragged piece of rope, thick, frayed, violently yanked. The exact kind that left deep red grooves on Lily's wrists. Silence swallowed the group. That heavy, ringing kind that makes your heart beat louder. Then Ranger moved again. A few feet farther, he stopped at a muddy patch. Boot prints, large, deep. "Adult male," the guard said tightly. "At least 200 pounds. Megan swallowed hard. "Keep going." Ranger limped ahead, like he knew the path by heart. He nosed the base of a tree, and Megan spotted something stuck to the bark. "Is that fabric?" she whispered. The guard peeled it off. A torn scrap, red, the exact shade of Lily's shirt. This time Megan didn't whisper. She didn't have to. Everyone knew exactly what this meant. Ranger pushed deeper. The forest thickened. The air tightened. Shadows grew colder. And then, up ahead, they saw it. A small clearing. Branches snapped. Dirt disturbed. Leaves flattened. A place where something, or someone, had stayed for days. In the center, a makeshift camp. A tarp tied between two trees. A fire pit. A bucket. A ripped jacket. The guard's flashlight trembled. Jesus, this is where he kept her. Megan cupped a hand over her mouth. He had her out here, in the cold, alone, for days. Dr. Brooks knelt, moving debris aside. A metal cup, food wrappers, a broken flashlight, and then something small, a pink hair tie, child-sized. Megan's voice cracked. That has to be Lily's. Ranger let out a trembling noise, grief mixed with rage. His whole body stiffened, and even half dead, he pushed forward, sniffing hard, angry. One guard muttered, "Whoever did this, he's a monster." Another spat, "He tied up a kid. Out here, out here." Dr. Brooks shook her head, furious. No child should ever go through this, ever. The clearing felt alive with the memory of what happened, like the trees themselves were holding their breath. Megan clenched her fists. She was terrified, out here in the dark. God, she must have been so cold. The guard exhaled sharply, and Ranger found her. Somehow, he found her before she froze to death. Ranger nudged the rope pile again, growling softly, hurt, broken, but furious. Megan whispered, "He didn't just rescue her. He saved her from dying out here." No one argued. No one softened it. The truth was in the rope, the footprints, the scrap of red fabric, the camp, the forest itself. Lily had been kidnapped, restrained, tortured. Right here. For days. And Ranger, half starved, half frozen, half dead, found her, dragged her out, carried her, protected her, all the way to the hospital. The anger rose like heat off the ground. The guard said it best. "That bastard's not just going to prison. I want him found." And for the first time, everyone, even Megan, even Dr. Brooks, felt the same fire. Because this wasn't just a rescue anymore. This was justice waiting to ignite. And honestly, after seeing the horror in that clearing, it was only a matter of time before everything snapped into action like a switch being flipped. Because once you realize a kid was tortured in your backyard, yeah, nobody stays calm after that. The second they returned to the hospital and reported what they found, things exploded. Not emotionally. That had already happened in the forest. This was action, pure, coordinated action. Within minutes, Larimer County Sheriff's Office had officers pouring into the back parking lot. Squad cars, search trucks, flashing lights, radios barking non-stop. Then came the heavies, U.S. Marshals, black jackets, serious faces, zero hesitation. One walked past Megan and muttered, "If he's still in that forest, we'll flush him out." Another added, "We don't run from animals like him." The air buzzed, electric, like the forest itself was waiting. Helicopter blades chopped overhead. A spotlight swept across the treetops, and 3 K-9 units lined up at the wood's edge. But none of them were Ranger, because Ranger was barely holding on. Back inside, he lay on a stretcher, IVs taped to his leg, a heated blanket wrapped around him because his temperature kept crashing. His breathing rough, but not spiraling anymore. Yet the moment officers shouted coordinates and updates across the hallway, something shifted in him. His ears twitched. His eyes cracked open. And when a deputy yelled, "Suspect heading toward County Road 32, repeat, County Road 32," Ranger bolted upright, not slowly, not carefully, but like someone shocked him awake. His body jerked forward so hard, the IV line nearly tore out. He let out a deep, rumbling snarl, nothing like the weak sounds from earlier. This was instinct, training, rage, all rising at once. Megan jumped back. "Whoa, Ranger, easy!" But he wasn't hearing her. His eyes, they were on fire, bright, sharp, focused, a predator locking onto a target. He growled again, pushing against the straps holding him down. His muscles shook so violently the entire stretcher rattled. A doctor shouted, "Hold him! He's going to injure himself!" 2 orderlies grabbed the frame. Ranger lunged, the wheels lifting off the floor for a split second. Megan rushed forward, cupping his face in both hands. "Ranger, hey! Look at me!" He froze. Barely, but enough. His chest heaved. His eyes flicked to hers, wild, pained, furious. She whispered, "They're going after him, okay? You don't have to. You brought Lily back." But Ranger wasn't convinced. He didn't think the mission was over. A marshal stepped closer. "This dog wants the guy." Megan shot him a glare. "He's half dead." The marshal shrugged. "He's still a cop." That sentence hit the hallway like a bullet. Because it was true. Despite everything, Ranger was still a K-9 officer. Still a protector. Still Ranger. He pushed forward again, whining a broken, aching sound that hit Megan straight in the chest. She whispered, "Baby, stop. You'll tear something." But then, through the chaos, a shout erupted down the hall. "We've got him! Suspect in custody!" The whole hospital exhaled in one giant breath. Doctors stalled mid-step. Nurses sagged against walls. Even the security guard closed his eyes like a weight had been lifted. But Ranger reacted differently. His whole body stilled. Instantly. The fire in his eyes softened. His breathing slowed. Still heavy, but no longer frantic. He stopped fighting the straps. Megan brushed his cheek. "Hear that? They got him. He can't hurt her ever again." Ranger blinked. Slow, exhausted, letting the words sink in. Then his head lowered back onto the blanket, and a long, shaking exhale slipped from his chest. Relief. Pure, exhausted relief. Like a soldier finally stepping off the battlefield. "Time fiend 100 PEMs. A nurse whispered, "Thank God." Another added, "That monster's in cuffs. Finally." Megan stroked the top of his head. "You hear that, partner? It's done." Ranger didn't move, didn't growl, didn't whine. He just closed his eyes. Peacefully this time. Not collapsing from exhaustion, but resting. Resting like a warrior whose mission was finally complete. And everyone around him knew the truth. If Ranger hadn't found Lily, the suspect would still be running free. If Ranger hadn't carried her out of that forest, she never would have survived. And if Ranger hadn't refused to give up, again and again, none of this would be ending tonight. Justice wasn't just served. It was dragged out of the mountains by a half-dead dog who refused to fail his little girl. And honestly, even though the suspect was finally caught, nobody in that hospital felt safe yet. Because Lily wasn't safe. Not even close. If anything, the real fight was just beginning. When the trauma team rolled Lily out of the scan room, everything changed. This wasn't just broken bones or bruises or dehydration. No. The scan revealed something far worse. Internal bleeding. Serious internal bleeding. Dr. Coleman, usually calm, steady, looked rattled. He stared at the images, then at Lily, then back at the images like he was double-checking reality. His voice hit the hall sharp. "She needs surgery, now, not in 10 minutes, now!" And that single word, now, set the hallway on fire. Nurses grabbed gloves. Someone sprinted for blood units. Another shouted, "Prep or 2! Clear the corridor!" A ventilator clattered as it was rushed too fast. But none of that chaos, none of that panic, compared to what Ranger did. Because the second Lily's gurney started rolling toward the operating wing, Ranger tried to follow. Not walk. Not limp. Drag himself. His paws scraped across the tile like sandpaper. His nails clicked. Frantic. Desperate. His chest surged forward even when his back legs refused to listen. Megan rushed to block him. "Ranger, no, not now, baby, you can't." But he didn't hear her. Or maybe he didn't care. His entire body shook. Every step wobbled. His IV line stretched. His blanket fell away. He didn't care about any of it. He only cared about the girl slipping through those OR doors. Dr. Brooks tried to intervene. "He can't go in there. We need to move him. Move him." "Yeah, right." The second they tried to lift his stretcher, Ranger lurched forward with a guttural, heart-shredding growl. Not a threat, not an attack. A plea, a warning, a scream of pure instinct. "He thinks he's losing her," Megan whispered. And honestly, that's exactly what it looked like. He fought so hard he almost flipped the stretcher. 2 orderlies grabbed the frame, leaning their full weight just to hold him down. "Jesus, he's strong. He's gonna rip the IV out. Hold him, hold him." But Ranger wasn't hearing any of it. His focus was razor sharp on the swinging doors ahead of him. And then, something small but impossible to ignore. He placed his head down on the cold tile floor, right in front of the OR entrance. Not gently, not carefully. A collapse that somehow looked like surrender and defiance at the exact same time. Like he was saying, "If you're taking her through this door, then I'm guarding it." Megan knelt beside him, hands trembling as she stroked his head. "Baby, you're gonna hurt yourself, please. Stop. Let them help her." But Ranger didn't blink, didn't look away, didn't breathe evenly. His chest trembled with every shaky inhale, He's shutting down, Dr. Brooks whispered, checking his pulse. He's pushing his body too far again. Still, even half-conscious, Ranger tried to stand. His front legs lifted, 2 inches maybe, before buckling. His chest smacked the tile. He whimpered, raw pain, and clawed forward another inch. Megan caught him again. No, no, sweet boy. She needs you to stay alive, you hear me? That made him pause. Just barely. But enough. His breathing slowed. His eyes flickered toward her. Confused, hurting, but listening. Through the OR window, Lily lay limp on the operating table. Lights glaring, machines beeping. Dr. Coleman calling orders no one outside could hear. Megan whispered, voice breaking. She's still fighting, Ranger. Don't make her fight alone. Ranger's tail twitched. A tiny movement. A heartbeat of hope. Dr. Brooks pressed a hand to his shoulder. If we don't calm him down, he'll crash again. He needs meds. Megan shook her head fiercely. He won't take anything unless he knows she's alive. A nurse cracked the OR door. We're starting the incision. Everyone back. Ranger jerked forward so violently, it looked like the word incision stabbed through him. Megan lunged, wrapping her arms around his neck. Her voice echoed down the hall. Stop, Ranger, stop. You're okay. She's okay. She's alive. She's here. And finally, he froze. Not relaxed, not safe, just still. He lowered himself, pressing his head to the floor, nose almost touching the bottom of the OR door, like he wanted Lily to smell him through it, to know he hadn't left. No one moved. Not the nurses, not the doctors, not even the security guard whose eyes were suddenly wet. Because here was this dog, beaten, broken, exhausted to the edge of death, yet refusing to leave the girl he loved more than life. Megan whispered, barely audible, God, please let her make it. For him. For both of them. And Ranger. He didn't close his eyes. Not once. He kept them locked on that operating room door, as if his stare alone could keep Lily alive. And honestly, after watching Ranger refuse to blink for nearly the entire surgery, no one in that hallway knew how much more their hearts could take. But then came the moment that pushed everybody over the edge. 4 hours. 4 agonizing, silent, impossible hours. That's how long Lily was in surgery. The OR wing, normally full of footsteps and steady voices, felt like a church, a graveyard, some strange in-between where everyone was scared to breathe too loudly. And Ranger. God. Ranger didn't move. Not once. He stayed on the cold tile, nose pressed to the crack beneath the OR door, like he was trying to push his soul through it. His chest rose unevenly. His tail didn't twitch. His eyes stayed open, wide, burning with this stubborn, dying kind of hope. Megan sat beside him, fingers resting in his fur. Every few minutes she whispered, You're doing good, buddy. Hang in there. She's fighting. She needs you. And maybe he understood. Maybe he didn't. But he stayed awake, even when his eyelids trembled like they weighed 1,000 pounds. Finally, the OR light shifted from red to green. Megan froze. Ranger's ears twitched, hard, like someone lit a spark inside him. He almost tried to stand again. The door opened, slow, heavy. Dr. Coleman stepped out, mask hanging loose, sweat on his temples, eyes wrecked, but not defeated. Megan's voice cracked. "Is she?" He nodded. "She made it." Megan covered her mouth, tears exploding instantly. And Ranger, oh God. Ranger tried to rise. His front legs pushed, his hind legs buckled. He lifted himself halfway before collapsing. Not from weakness this time, from relief. He let out a long, shaking exhale. Not a bark, not a whine, just a breath he'd been holding for 4 straight hours. Dr. Coleman added quietly, "She's stable, for now, but she's incredibly weak." The hallway went silent again. But nothing, not even that, broke Ranger. They moved Lily to a recovery room. Warm lights, soft blankets, steady machines. A place that felt safe, like a second chance. Ranger tried to follow, but couldn't. His legs gave out. So they wheeled him in too, placed his stretcher right beside Lily's bed, almost touching. A nurse whispered, "He won't rest unless he knows she's okay." She was right. Ranger didn't relax until he saw her. Even then. He didn't sleep. He just blinked slowly, like he was standing guard from inside his own exhaustion. Hours passed. Nurses rotated in and out. Dr. Coleman checked her vitals twice. Machines beeped softly. Then, just after 3 a.m., the moment happened. Megan leaned forward, eyes burning from staring too long. She whispered, "Sweetheart, if you can hear me, we're right here." Nothing. At first. Then, Lily's fingers twitched. Barely. Like a butterfly wing stirring. Megan gasped. "Lily? Baby, can you hear me?" Ranger's head shot up. Every muscle in his body went tight. Lily's eyelids fluttered. Once, twice, and then, slowly, opened. Her foggy eyes drifted. Ceiling. Machines. Then Megan. "Hey, sweetheart." "You're safe," Megan whispered. Lily frowned weakly, tried to speak. Her lips parted. A breath at first. Then a whisper scraped from the bottom of her lungs. "Grr!" The word shattered Megan. She sobbed. Loud, messy, raw. And Ranger, he heard it. Oh, he heard it. His whole body lurched. He tried to stand. Failed. Tried again. Failed again. But he pushed his chest up, just enough to lift his head and stare at her with wet, burning eyes. He made one small sound, a soft, trembling whimper, a reply. Lily turned her head toward him. Barely. Her chin quivered. A single tear slid down her cheek. "Ranger," she whispered again, clearer this time. And for the first time since he carried her out of the forest, Ranger's tail moved. Just once. The tiniest wag. But it was enough to melt every soul in that room. And honestly, the second Lily whispered Ranger's name, it felt like the whole world shifted. Like everyone in that room knew they were witnessing something they'd remember for the rest of their lives. But nothing prepared them for what happened next. Dr. Coleman cleared Lily for brief contact, mumbling something like, "Just a few minutes. Minimal movement. Careful with her ribs." But no one heard the details. Because the moment he said, "She can see him," Megan was already wheeling Ranger's stretcher down the hall. And Ranger, half conscious, half broken, somehow sensed it. His head lifted before they even turned the corner. His ears perked. His breathing quickened, painful, shaky, but not from fear, from hope, real, electric, full-body hope. Megan whispered, "Yeah, boy, we're going to her." Ranger exhaled a tiny, breathy whine, the kind that shatters hearts if you're not ready for it. They pushed him into Lily's room, and everything stopped. Lily, pale, bruised, wrapped in blankets, turned toward the sound of the wheels. Her eyes were heavy, drifting, until they landed on Ranger. Her whole face changed, not dramatically, not like in movies, just a soft, trembling lift, like the world handed her back something she never thought she'd see again. "Our Ranger," she whispered. Ranger reacted instantly. He tried to stand, like full-on stand. His front paws pushed so hard the metal stretcher groaned. Muscles screamed. IV lines stretched. Blankets hit the floor. Megan grabbed the frame. "Whoa, Ranger, easy." But he didn't care, didn't hear, didn't stop. He growled. Not in anger, but in pure, raw determination. "Let me reach her." His legs buckled. He collapsed halfway. Dragged himself again, nails scraping against the padding. And then Lily spoke. Weak, cracked, barely a breath. "Let him?" Megan froze. Everyone froze. Lily lifted a shaking hand, just a few inches, a silent plea. "Let him?" No one could say no to that. They lowered Ranger's stretcher until it nearly touched her bed. Megan guided his head, careful, gentle, so he wouldn't fall. But still, he tried. He stretched his neck, whining through the pain, his entire body trembling like lightning lived inside him. And Lily, God, Lily, wrapped her thin little arm around his neck. Not tight, not strong, just enough. Her forehead rested in his fur. Her fingers curled into his matted coat. Her tears disappeared into his neck like they belonged there. "Hey, buddy," she whispered, voice breaking. You came back. You came back for me. Ranger let out a deep, shaking breath, a sound two nurses immediately started crying over. His tail thumped once, just once, but it was enough. Megan wiped her eyes. Yeah, sweetheart. He never left you. Lily pulled back just enough to look into Ranger's eyes, her voice barely audible. You didn't let him take me. You didn't leave me in the dark. Her lip trembled. She pressed her forehead back into his fur, and she broke. Softly, quietly, the kind of crying that hurts your ribs. Ranger nudged her shoulder, a tiny, gentle gesture, like a whisper turned physical. Someone behind Megan sniffed hard. Dr. Brooks wiped her face with her coat. A police officer cleared his throat so aggressively his eyes watered. An old patient in a wheelchair muttered, "That's a real hero right there." Even Dr. Coleman rubbed his nose like it was allergies. People gathered in the hallway. Visitors, nurses, a janitor with a mop, an off-duty EMT who stayed just to see if Lily survived. Every one of them wore the same expression: wonder, disbelief, heartbreak trying to turn into hope. Lily stroked Ranger's ear with trembling fingers. I was scared. I didn't think anyone would find me. Ranger huffed, softly. A dog's version of I did. Megan whispered, voice shaking, Sweetheart, he walked miles, through the forest, through the dark. He carried you when he couldn't walk. Lily's chin quivered. Why did he do that? Megan looked at Ranger, looked at Lily, and at the fragile miracle between them. She whispered, Because he loves you. Lily broke again, burying her face against his neck. I love you too. I love you so much. Ranger closed his eyes, pressing his head into her shoulder, the safest he had looked in days. And in that tiny hospital room, with monitors beeping softly and fluorescent lights shimmering off tear-filled eyes, everyone felt the same truth. This wasn't just a reunion. It was a promise they'd survive this, together. And honestly, the next afternoon felt like the world finally decided to give Ranger what he earned the hard way. The chaos had calmed. Lily was stable, sleeping most of the time, but breathing steady. Ranger was, well, alive was still the best word anyone dared to use. But he wasn't crashing anymore. His vitals were weak, slow, but steady. He even drank water earlier. And Megan, she cried like someone proposed to her. Word spread fast. Through the hospital, through Larimer County, through law enforcement across the entire state. A K-9 missing for 19 days, found alive, carried a kidnapped child out of the forest, survived injuries that should have killed him 3 separate times, never stopped protecting her, not for a second. People wanted to see him, wanted to meet the girl he'd saved, wanted to shake the hands of the staff who kept him breathing. But Captain Mark Reynolds, head of the Larimer County Sheriff's Office, he didn't come for publicity. He walked in quietly, hat in hand, looking older than he did on TV. His jaw clenched, his eyes red, not from crying maybe, but from everything else. Megan stood. "Captain Reynolds, he's right here." She stepped aside, and the captain finally saw him. Ranger lay curled on his side, wrapped in warm blankets, IV lines taped gently to his leg. For the first time since this nightmare began, he looked small, not weak, just tired. Bone-deep tired. Reynolds approached slowly, like he was walking toward a soldier's casket. He knelt beside Ranger and placed a hand on his head. "Hey, partner," he whispered, and his voice cracked. Ranger's eyes opened, slow, heavy, but when he recognized the voice, his ears twitched. His tail shifted, maybe half an inch. Reynolds inhaled sharply, like that tiny movement hit him straight in the heart. "I thought we lost you," he whispered. We looked everywhere." Megan stepped closer, softly, almost apologetically. She said, "He didn't stop looking either." Reynolds nodded, slow, painful, like he already knew. "Yeah, that sounds like him." He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out something small, silver, shining under the hospital lights. A badge charm, simple, metal, engraved with, "For unmatched bravery in the line of duty K9, Unit number 47, Ranger." Megan gasped softly. Even Ranger seemed to sense the weight of the moment. Reynolds looked around at the small crowd, nurses, officers, doctors, and said, "If you don't mind, I'd like to say something." No one minded. Everyone stepped closer. He held the badge in both hands, like he was afraid he might drop it. "Ranger wasn't just missing," he began. "He wasn't lost. He wasn't running. He was still working." He swallowed, hard. "This dog, this officer, followed a trail no human could have followed. He survived injuries no human could have survived. And he carried a child, an innocent child, through the mountains until he reached help." A nurse wiped her eyes. Someone sniffed loudly. "He didn't give up when we thought he was gone. He didn't stop when he was starving, bleeding, freezing. He didn't quit the job, because a K9 doesn't know how to quit." Reynolds knelt again, clipping the badge onto Ranger's collar with steady hands. "There's a lot of heroes in this hospital today," he said softly. "But this one, right here, he's the reason that little girl is alive." He leaned close, pressed a hand to Ranger's cheek, and whispered something only the dog could hear. A private, officer-to-officer moment. Ranger didn't move at first. Then, slowly, his eyes fluttered shut. Not from weakness, not from sleep, but because the fight inside him finally relaxed. Like the badge unlocked something in him. Like he understood. It's over. The mission is complete. You can rest now. Megan covered her mouth, tears slipping through her fingers. He He knows, she whispered. Reynolds nodded, eyes glossy. Yeah, he knows. Doctors, officers, visitors, a grandmother with tissues, a patient in a wheelchair. Everyone felt it. All at once. The weight of a dog who refused to die, who refused to quit, who refused to abandon a child even when his own body was giving out. And now, finally, someone told him the words he had earned with every breath, every wound, every mile. You did good. You saved her. You made it home. Ranger let out a soft, peaceful breath. And for the first time since he staggered into Mercy General covered in blood and mud and fear, he rested, without guilt, without fear, without pain clawing at his ribs. Just rest. The rest he earned. The rest only a hero gets. And honestly, after watching Captain Reynolds honor Ranger, you'd think the emotional tank was empty. Like, all right, that was the final punch, right? But then Lily woke again. And somehow, the story still had one more piece to fall perfectly into place. It was late evening, that deep blue-purple sky where hospital windows turn into mirrors. The lights were dim. Machines hummed softly. Everything felt calm, real calm, for the first time in days. Ranger lay curled on his stretcher beside Lily's bed, his body finally surrendering to real rest. His breathing steady, warm, a slow rise and fall you only see in dogs who feel safe. Every now and then his tail twitched, a sleepy little flick. Lily blinked awake slowly, lashes fluttering like she wasn't sure her eyes would cooperate. Megan noticed and leaned forward. "Hey, sweetheart," she whispered. "You okay?" Lily nodded, weak but sure. Then she turned her head toward Ranger. He was right there, less than a foot away, his nose nearly touching her mattress, like he had tried to climb onto the bed but collapsed halfway and stayed anyway. Lily's voice softened. "He's still here." Megan smiled. "It's because he hasn't left." Lily fidgeted with the blanket, biting her lip, working up the courage for something big. "Megan," her voice tiny, shaking. "Yeah, baby?" "Ranger, can he stay with me?" The question hit Megan so hard she froze for a moment. Not because she didn't want it. Oh, she wanted it. Everyone did. But hearing it from Lily, in that fragile, cracked little voice, after everything she'd survived, it shattered Megan's heart in the most beautiful way. I don't want him to go," Lily whispered. "Ever." Ranger lifted his head at the sound, just barely, looking at her with soft, tired eyes. His tail thumped one gentle beat, like he understood the question, like he was waiting for the answer, like he was saying, "Yeah, kid, ask her for both of us." Megan took a slow breath, fighting tears she didn't stand a chance against. She sat on the bed's edge, resting a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. "Time 800 mams, sweetheart." she whispered. He chose you long before today. Lily blinked. He chose me? Megan nodded. From the moment he found you in that forest, when he refused to leave you, even when he was hurt, even when he was dying, he picked you. A tear slid down Lily's cheek. I thought he was just helping people. Megan smiled warmly. He does help people. But what he did for you... She shook her head softly. That wasn't a job. That was love. Ranger scooted an inch closer, enough to rest his head on the edge of her mattress. Lily reached down, her trembling fingers sinking into his fur. I love him. Her voice cracked open. Ranger's tail wagged, slow, soft, full of everything he didn't have words for. Megan whispered, You saved each other. Lily's face lit up. Not a big smile, she was still too weak, but something warm and safe glowed inside her. A new beginning. Megan brushed Lily's hair gently behind her ear. He's yours, sweetheart. This time Lily didn't cry from fear or pain. She cried from joy. She lay back, exhaustion pulling her gently toward sleep. But before her eyes closed, she placed one small hand on Ranger's back. Tender, protective. Ranger leaned into the touch, his body melting against the mattress. No tension, no trembling, no fear. Just peace, real peace, the kind he hadn't felt in 20 days. If this were a movie, the camera would slowly pull back. Lily asleep, her hand resting softly on Ranger's fur. Ranger curled close, eyes closed, breathing steady, tail curled against her side. Both safe, both home, both healing, together. And that's how their story ends. Not with danger, not with fear, but with something stronger. A little girl and the dog who refused to let her die. Finally resting in the same quiet, safe, warm place. A family, for real, forever. The second the doors to the scan room swung shut behind Lily, something inside Ranger just gave out. Like whatever force was holding him upright, vanished. One moment he was stretched forward toward the door, muscles locked like he could will it open through sheer desperation. And then, boom. His body dropped. Not gently, not slowly. Like someone unplugged his soul. His front legs buckled first, sliding out from under him. Then his chest hit the floor. His head followed, bouncing lightly against the tile. A sound that made everyone flinch. Megan gasped, "Ranger!" And she dropped to her knees beside him so fast, her badge flew off and clattered down the hall. His breathing, God, it wasn't breathing. It was choking on air. Sharp, shallow, frantic gasps like his lungs were burning from the inside out. "His heart's racing. Feel this," someone said. But the second their hand touched Ranger's side, they recoiled. "He's burning up. Jesus, he's literally burning." Ranger's chest rose and fell so fast, it didn't even look real. His heartbeat wasn't a rhythm anymore. It was a glitch, a wild, frantic thumping, like his heart was trying to sprint out of his body. His paws twitched. His hind leg jerked, like he was still trying to run. And his eyes, oh God, his eyes, they weren't fierce anymore, not focused, just glassy, darting back and forth, searching for Lily even though she wasn't there. Easy, baby, easy, Megan whispered, cupping his jaw like he was a scared child. Her voice cracked halfway through, easy. Ranger didn't lift his head. He just pressed his nose weakly against the floor where Lily's gurney had rolled seconds earlier, like he could still smell her, like he was trying not to forget. There's no way he walked far like this, someone murmured. Another voice. He shouldn't even be conscious. And then, a third voice, trembling. There is no way this dog carried a kid through the Colorado mountains in this condition. But he did. And now his body was demanding the price. A tech pushed a small oxygen tank toward them. We can try, something, anything, but the moment the tank clanged against the floor, Ranger seized. His whole body jolted like he'd been shocked. Hey, Ranger, look at me, Megan begged, bringing her face close to his. Slowly, so painfully slow, he dragged his gaze toward her. His eyelids trembled, his pupils blown wide, fear and exhaustion mixing into something heartbreaking. Megan brushed his ear with her thumb. She's alive. They're helping her. You don't have to fight alone right now. For 1 second, just one, his breaths lengthened, barely, but enough for Megan to whisper, "Good, good boy." But the calm didn't last. A machine inside the scan room beeped, a sharp, alarming sound, and Ranger's head jerked up, or tried to. His neck lifted an inch, shook violently, and crashed back down. He tried again, failed. His claws scraped helplessly across the floor. This wasn't just pain, it was panic. Raw, animal panic at being separated from the one creature he had fought so hard to protect. "Don't move, sweet boy," Megan begged. "You're hurting yourself." But Ranger wasn't listening to pain. He was listening to instinct, to loyalty, to Lily's fading scent behind that door. 2 orderlies rushed down the hall with a stretcher. "We need to lift him," one said. "We can't leave him like this," the other added. But when they stepped closer, Ranger's body tensed. His breath hitched. His lips twitched upward, not to bite, but to warn. Megan raised a hand, sharp, commanding. "Stop. Don't touch him unless I tell you." The orderlies froze. Megan leaned closer to Ranger, her forehead almost touching his. Her voice dropped to a whisper, soft, steady, like a secret she trusted him with. "You kept her safe. You did everything. Now let us keep you safe, okay? Just let us help you." For a moment, his breathing slowed again. Just a moment. His head rolled into her hand. His eyelids fluttered, closing, opening, closing again. "Stay with me," Megan whispered urgently. "No, No sleeping. Ranger, hey, stay awake. His tail twitched. Once, a tiny, weak attempt at movement. Good. That's good. Hang on, Megan breathed, her voice cracking. But the truth settled over the hallway like a weight. This wasn't just exhaustion. This was collapse. This was a body pushed far beyond the edge. And now that Lily wasn't on his back, his purpose wasn't holding him up anymore. A doctor murmured, "If we don't get him fluid soon, he's done. He's too far gone." Megan clenched her jaw. "Then we get him fluids." "Ma'am, he'll let me," she said, fire in her voice, because she wasn't guessing. She knew. Ranger's chest heaved, a violent tremor running through him. His eyes slipped half shut. His breaths turned shallow, broken. Megan grabbed his paw, held it tight, whispered, "Hold on, please, just hold on." And the hallway, the people, the world, felt like it held its breath with him. Because deep down, everyone knew a dog doesn't collapse like that, unless he's already given every last piece of his strength to someone he loves more than himself.